The encounter, the battlefield was silent now, but silence did not mean peace. It was the silence of ruins, of smoke rising from broken buildings, of bodies lying forgotten in the dust. The war between humans and aliens had burned across many worlds, and this ruined village was only another scar in the galaxy. A lone human soldier walked through the shattered streets. His boots crushed broken glass and burned wood. His uniform was torn, and his face was hard like stone, but his eyes carried shadows of pain. He had fought too many battles, seen too many deaths. His rifle rested in his hands, ready for anything that might move. He entered what had once been a home. The walls were cracked, the roof half gone. The smell of smoke and blood mixed in the air. For a moment he thought the place was empty. Then he heard it, a sound, a whisper. The soldier froze. His finger moved closer to the trigger. Slowly, carefully, he stepped forward. In the corner of the ruined house, something shifted. A figure crawled out of the darkness, weak and trembling. It was not a soldier. It was not a fighter. It was a woman. Her skin carried the strange glow of her alien race, faint blue under the dust and blood. Her clothes were torn, her face marked by fear and pain. She raised both hands, shaking, her eyes wide. Her voice was broken, almost a breath, but clear enough to hear. "Please, don't kill me, human." The soldier's grip tightened on his weapon. His eyes narrowed. He had heard many tricks in war. Sometimes the enemy pretended to be weak, only to strike when mercy was given. His training told him to finish it, to pull the trigger and move on. But something stopped him. The woman's eyes were not the eyes of a soldier. They were the eyes of someone desperate to live. Her voice shook again, softer now, as if she feared even her words would bring death. "If you spare my life, I'll give you a family." The word struck him harder than any weapon could. His heart skipped. A family? The word opened an old wound inside him. Memories flashed through his mind. A small child running into his arms, laughter echoing in a warm home, his wife smiling at the dinner table. All of it gone now, all taken by the same war that now brought this woman to her knees before him. He tried to harden his heart, to remind himself she was the enemy, but her voice pulled at him, dragging him into confusion. He stepped closer, rifle still pointed, and asked in a cold tone, "What do you mean?" The alien woman looked into his eyes, and tears formed in her own. Her body trembled, but she did not lower her hands. "I know what you lost," she whispered. "I know you carry pain. Spare me, and I will give you what war has stolen." The soldier felt his chest tighten. His finger trembled on the trigger. Around them, the ruined world seemed to hold its breath. Could he trust her, or was this another cruel trap? The silence grew heavy. The soldier's mind raced between duty and something deeper, something human. He could almost hear his daughter's voice in the soft cry of the wind. He could almost feel his wife's hand in the shaking hand of the alien woman before him. The whisper came again, fragile but full of strange promise. "Don't kill me. Let me live, and I will give you a family." The soldier's breath slowed. His weapon shook slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of the decision pressing on him. The war had taken everything. Now, here in the ruins, an enemy offered him something no army, no commander, no victory could give. And yet, could he believe her? The air was thick with smoke and silence. The soldier stood above her, the barrel of his rifle inches from her chest. His heart beat like a drum in his ears. One move, one breath, one choice would decide every thing. The alien woman looked at him with eyes full of fear, but also with something else, hope. The soldier swallowed hard. His body tensed. The world waited. And then, the screen of silence broke with the sharp sound of his rifle being cocked. But his finger did not pull the trigger. Not yet. He stared at her, his voice low and uncertain. "Why would you say that? Why offer me a family?" The woman's lips parted, her words trembling but steady enough to carry. Because I have children. Hidden. They are my blood, my people. They are all I have left. You can kill me, but if you do, they will die too. Help us, and they will be your family too. The soldier froze, his heart pounding louder than the echoes of war. He looked into her eyes, searching for lies, but found only desperation. The gun lowered an inch. His breath shook. But before he could speak, a distant sound reached his ears. Footsteps, heavy and many. The ground trembled slightly. Someone else was coming. The soldier turned his head slowly, eyes narrowing. Was it his army or hers? The woman's eyes widened in terror. She whispered urgently, "Please, decide, before it's too late." The soldier raised his weapon again, but this time not at her. His jaw tightened as he turned toward the sound. The encounter had only just begun. The bargain. The soldier's eyes stayed fixed on the shadow-filled street outside the ruined house. The sound of heavy boots grew clearer, mixed with the faint clatter of alien weapons. Whoever was coming was close, and they were not friendly. He turned back toward the alien woman, who still knelt before him, trembling but alive. Her wide eyes shone with fear, but also with urgency. She knew the danger was near. "Speak," the soldier demanded in a sharp whisper, his rifle tight in his hands. "If this is a trick, I'll end it here." The woman swallowed, her breathing shallow. "No trick. I swear," she said quickly. Her voice shook, but her words carried truth. "My children are hidden underground, just outside the ruins. They are innocent. They are small. All without me they will not survive the night." The soldier's face tightened. Memories pressed into his mind again. His little girl's smile, his wife's gentle touch, all lost when the war consumed his home. The weight of those memories pressed hard on his chest. He had buried them deep, but now this woman's words dragged them back to life. He growled low, forcing his emotions back into the darkness. "Why should I believe you? Your kind slaughtered my people without mercy." The woman lowered her hands but did not move closer. Her eyes glistened with tears. "And your kind slaughtered mine," she whispered. "We are both broken. We both lost. But children should not pay for the sins of war." The soldier's grip on his rifle eased slightly, but not enough to lower it. He studied her face. She was weak, injured, close to collapsing, yet her words carried a strength he could not ignore. Outside, the footsteps grew louder. Alien voices barked orders in a language he barely understood. They were searching. Soon they would find this house. The woman's voice dropped lower, desperate now. "Help me, and I will give you what you lost. A family, not soldiers, not enemies. Children who will see you as their protector. Isn't that what your heart truly wants?" The soldier's throat tightened. He wanted to shout that he was a soldier, not a father anymore, not a husband anymore, not a man who believed in family. But the truth was different. Deep inside, he wanted exactly what she offered. He wanted a reason to live beyond the war. He looked at her again. She was not lying. Her fear was too real, her eyes too honest. But there was no time left. The enemy was almost here. "Show me," he ordered, his voice sharp. The woman nodded quickly, relief flashing across her face. She pushed herself up with trembling arms, her legs weak. She stumbled, nearly falling, but the soldier caught her arm without thinking. For a moment, their eyes met again, his full of suspicion, hers full of fragile hope. "Follow me," she whispered. They slipped out the back of the ruined house, moving into the shadows of broken walls. The soldier's senses stayed sharp, his weapon ready, his ears straining for every sound. The woman led him through narrow alleys, past rubble and fire-blackened stones. Every step was danger, every corner could hide death. The alien voices behind them grew louder, closer. Search parties were spreading, sweeping through the ruins. The soldier cursed under his breath. If they were caught, it would end here. At last the woman stopped near what looked like a collapsed cellar door half buried in dust and stone. She knelt, pressing her hand against the broken wood. A faint glow spread from her skin into the cracks. With a soft click, the door opened just enough to reveal darkness below. From that darkness came a sound, small voices, a whimper, the shuffle of tiny feet. The soldier's chest tightened again. He lowered his weapon, peering inside. His breath caught. Children. 3 of them. Their eyes were wide, their faces streaked with tears and dirt. They were not soldiers. They were not killers. They were just children, frightened, helpless, holding each other in the dark. The soldier froze, staring. Memories of his own daughter returned in full force, stabbing deep into his heart. He had promised himself he would never feel this again, never open himself to the pain of loss. But here it was, raw and real before his eyes. The woman knelt by the opening, whispering softly in her language. The children slowly reached toward her, then looked up at the soldier. Their eyes, innocent, questioning, afraid, met his. In that moment, something inside him shifted. He could not see them as enemies, not anymore. But before he could speak, the sound of heavy boots and voices cut through the night again. The enemy was close, too close. The woman's eyes filled with panic. She turned to the soldier, whispering urgently, "Please, you must protect them. If you kill me, they die. If you save me, they live, and you will not be alone anymore." The soldier tightened his jaw. His mind raced. His rifle felt heavier than ever. He was not just choosing whether to kill or spare one woman now. He was choosing between war and something greater, something almost forgotten, family. But outside, the enemy was nearly upon them. He stepped forward, his voice low and cold. "If I do this, if I protect you, then those children are mine too. Do you understand?" The woman looked into his eyes and nodded. Her whisper was steady now, not desperate but strong. "Yes, yours, ours, a family." The soldier's heart pounded. For the first time in years, he felt something more powerful than hate, more powerful than fear. But the time for decisions had ended. A bright light swept across the ruins. Enemy soldiers shouted, weapons raised. The hunt was over. The soldier lifted his rifle, his eyes burning with new fire. He was not fighting for his army now, not for orders, not for victory. He was fighting for a promise, a family, and he would not let anyone take it from him. The choice. The soldier pressed his back against a half-broken wall, his rifle aimed at the glow of searchlights sweeping through the ruins. Shadows of alien soldiers moved across the street, their voices harsh and sharp in the night air. The woman crouched close to the cellar door, shielding the children inside with her body. Her eyes darted from the soldier to the enemy patrol. Her breathing was quick, but her hands stayed steady, as if she knew panic would only bring death faster. The soldier's heart pounded like a drum. His finger hovered over the trigger. If he fired, the enemy would know their position. If he stayed silent, they would soon find the cellar anyway. For years, his life had been simple: follow orders, kill the enemy, survive another day. But now he faced a choice bigger than any battle. Save this woman and her children, and he risked everything: his life, his duty, even his soul. End them here, and the war would go on as before. His chest tightened. His mind screamed at him to pull the trigger, to finish what the war demanded. But his heart whispered a different command: protect them. The alien soldiers drew closer. Their strange armor clattered. Their voices grew louder. One raised a scanner, a beam of red light crawling across the ruins. It stopped only a few steps from the cellar. The woman looked at him, eyes wide, lips moving without sound. "Please." The soldier cursed under his breath. His hands shook, not from fear, but from the storm inside him. The war had taken everything: his wife, his daughter, his world. And now, in the middle of ashes, an enemy begged him to save children that were not his. Children who could never replace what he lost, but maybe, just maybe, could heal what was broken. He remembered his daughter's last words, spoken before the bombs fell. "Daddy, promise you'll come back." His jaw tightened. Maybe he could not keep that promise to her, but maybe he could keep it for someone else. The soldier turned his rifle toward the approaching patrol. The enemy was seconds away. He breathed deep, steadying himself. But just as he was about to fire, the woman grabbed his arm. Her voice was a whisper, urgent but calm. "No, not yet." His eyes narrowed. "They're almost here. If I don't strike, we're all dead." She shook her head. "They will pass. They think no human would stay here. Wait." The soldier hesitated, torn between instinct and trust. His training screamed to act first, strike hard, but something in her voice, firm, confident, almost certain, made him pause. The patrol stopped, scanning the rubble. One alien soldier lifted his weapon, pointing toward the cellar. The soldier's heart stopped, his finger pressed against the trigger, ready to unleash fire. Then, as suddenly as they came, the patrol turned away. A shout echoed from the far side of the ruins. Another unit had spotted something. The soldiers moved quickly, their searchlights swinging away into the distance. The soldier exhaled slowly, tension leaving his body like a heavy weight. He looked at the woman, his voice low. "If you were wrong, we'd be dead." She met his gaze. "If you had fired, we'd be dead anyway." Her words cut sharp, but true. The soldier lowered his weapon slightly. The children peeked out from the cellar, their small eyes filled with fear and hope. One of them whispered in a broken accent, a single human word they must have learned from her. "Protector." The soldier froze. The word pierced him. Protector. It was what he had failed to be for his own family. But here, in this broken place, a child was giving him that title. His throat tightened. He turned away, unwilling to show weakness. But deep inside, something shifted. The woman touched his arm gently, her hand light against his scarred skin. "You see now," she whispered, "we are not your enemies. We are only survivors, like you." He pulled his arm away, but not harshly. "Survivors don't offer strangers a family." Her eyes softened. "Then maybe I am not offering a stranger. Maybe I am asking for something more." Her words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. The soldier wanted to dismiss them, to push them aside, but he couldn't. They felt too real, too close to the emptiness in his heart. The night grew quieter. The enemy patrol had moved on, but danger still lingered everywhere. The soldier knew this was only the beginning. He looked at her, his voice low and rough. "If I do this, if I keep you alive, protect these children, there is no going back. My army will call me a traitor. Your people will call me a fool." She held his gaze without fear. "Then let them call you what they wish. You will not be alone anymore." Silence fell between them. The soldier's chest rose and fell, his breath heavy. The choice stood before him like a blade at his throat. He could walk away now, leave her and the children to their fate, and no one would ever know. Or he could stay, fight for them, and change everything. The soldier's grip on his rifle loosened. His hand trembled, his heart burned. Finally, in a voice that carried both pain and strength, he spoke. "I don't trust you, but I can't kill you. Not after this. Not after them." The woman closed her eyes, relief washing over her. The children whispered again, that single human word echoing softly in the ruins. "Protector." The soldier swallowed hard. He had made his choice. But he also knew the war would not forgive him for it. And somewhere in the shadows, unseen eyes watched them, waiting for the right moment to strike. The real battle had only just begun. The escape. The ruins were quiet again, but the soldier knew it was the kind of silence that never lasted. Silence before the storm. Silence before death. He glanced at the alien woman. She leaned against the broken wall, her body weak, but her eyes sharp with determination. The children huddled inside the cellar, watching him with wide, trusting eyes. That single word still echoed in his mind. Protector. He shook his head. Protector meant nothing in war. Protector meant death. Yet his rifle felt lighter now, not as a weapon of destruction, but as a shield for something fragile. Then it happened. The sound of engines roared through the night sky. A bright beam of light swept across the Rui, cutting through the shadows, dropships, enemy reinforcements. The woman's eyes widened. "They found us," she whispered. The soldier cursed under his breath. His mind raced. If the dropships landed, there would be no escape. Too many soldiers, too many guns. He had minutes, maybe less. He pulled the woman to her feet. "We move. Now." She stumbled, but his grip kept her steady. "Where?" He scanned the ruins, his instincts calculating routes, exits, and risks. Beyond the shattered buildings lay the old tunnels, ancient passageways built long before the war. If they could reach them, there was a chance. Not safety, but a chance. He opened the cellar. The children blinked up at him, afraid. He crouched low, his voice rough but steady. "Stay close. Do not make a sound." The oldest child nodded, pulling the younger ones tight. They climbed out, clutching each other's hands. Their tiny footsteps echoed softly, like fragile drums in the dark. The soldier led them into the ruins, keeping his rifle ready. The woman limped beside him, whispering directions in her broken human tongue. The children followed, silent shadows in the rubble. Above them, dropships circled, spotlights swept the ruins, searching, hunting. Alien soldiers shouted, their voices echoing through the broken streets. The soldier's heart pounded. Every second felt like a knife at his back. They reached the edge of the ruins. Just beyond, half hidden under collapsed stone, was a narrow opening. The tunnels. Hope flickered in his chest. Then the beam of a spotlight froze on them. Shouts erupted. Weapons fired. Bright blasts of energy lit the night. "Run!" the soldier roared. The children screamed but obeyed, rushing toward the tunnel. The woman stumbled after them, her voice urging them forward. The soldier turned, his rifle spitting fire. Enemy soldiers fell, but more poured in, their armor gleaming. In the light, blasts struck the walls around him, showering him with dust and stone. He moved like a machine, firing, reloading, firing again. Every second he bought gave the children another step toward escape. One alien soldier rushed close, weapon raised. The soldier met him head-on, slamming the butt of his rifle into the alien's face. The enemy fell, blood splattering the stones. Another came, and the soldier's blade flashed, cutting him down. But there were too many. "Go!" he shouted to the woman. "Get them into the tunnels!" She hesitated, her eyes full of fear for him. But the children pulled at her arms, and she obeyed, guiding them into the narrow passage. The soldier fought on, every muscle burning, every breath heavy. Blasts grazed his armor, fire scorched his skin. He ignored the pain. He was not fighting for himself anymore. He was fighting for them. Finally, when the children vanished into the tunnel's darkness, he turned and ran. The entrance loomed ahead, but enemy soldiers closed in from both sides. He dived into the opening just as a blast struck behind him. The explosion collapsed part of the ruins, sealing the passage with fire and stone. Darkness swallowed them. The soldier gasped, coughing in the dust. The tunnel was narrow, damp, and silent, except for the children's frightened sobs. The woman knelt beside them, whispering soft words to calm their fear. He leaned against the wall, his chest heaving. His hands shook, not from weakness, but from the weight of what had just happened. He had turned his back on his war. He had chosen something else. The woman looked at him, her eyes shining in the dim glow. "You saved them," she whispered. He shook his head. "Not yet. We're not safe. They'll follow. They always follow." She reached out, her hand brushing his arm. "But you chose. That is more than most do." Her words sank into him like a seed planted. In ashes, chosen, protector, family. But there was no time for reflection. The sound of distant footsteps echoed in the tunnel behind them. The enemy had found another way in. The soldier gritted his teeth, pulling himself upright. His rifle clicked empty. He checked his last magazine. Only a handful of shots remained. He looked at the woman and the children. Their faces shone in the darkness, full of trust he didn't deserve. For the first time in years, he felt fear, not for himself, but for them. He whispered to the oldest child, his voice low, "Take them deeper. Don't stop. Don't look back." The child nodded, courage flickering in small eyes. He led the others forward into the shadows. The woman stayed, her gaze fixed on the soldier. "You cannot fight them alone," she said. He gave a grim smile. "That's what I've always done." The echoes of enemy soldiers grew louder, closer. The soldier raised his weapon, standing tall in the darkness. His body was broken, his soul scarred, but his spirit burned bright. This time, he wasn't fighting for orders. He wasn't fighting for war. He was fighting for a promise, for family. The tunnel trembled as the enemy drew near. The soldier's finger tightened on the trigger, and then, in the shadows, the battle for their future began. A new beginning. The tunnel shook with the sound of boots pounding closer. The air grew heavy, filled with dust and the faint smell of burning stone. The soldier stood in the darkness, his rifle raised, his breath steady but heart racing. Behind him, the woman and the children pressed deeper into the tunnels, their footsteps soft, fragile, and full of fear. He knew the truth. He could not stop them all. The enemy had numbers, weapons, orders. He had only one thing left, his choice. The woman's voice whispered behind him, trembling but strong. "You don't have to do this alone." The soldier glanced back. Her eyes shone in the dim light, full of something he had not seen in years. Faith. She believed in him, not as a soldier, not as an enemy, but as something greater, protector. He swallowed hard. "Stay with the children," he said, his voice rough. "If I fall, you keep them moving. You keep them safe." The woman shook her head, but the soldier turned away before she could answer. He stepped forward into the darkness, into the echo of marching death. The first alien soldier appeared in the tunnel light, armor glinting, weapon raised. The soldier fired without hesitation. The blast echoed loud, sparks bouncing off stone. The enemy fell, but more surged forward, their shouts filling the narrow space. The soldier moved like a storm, his body running on instinct. Every shot was precise, every strike fueled not by hate, but by a desperate will to protect. His rifle emptied, he swung it like a club, cracking helmets, breaking bone. His blade flashed, silver arcs cutting through the dark. But the enemy pressed harder. Energy blasts scorched his armor, blood stained his sleeve. His breath grew heavy, his muscles screamed. Still, he did not stop. Behind him the children cried, their voices echoing, "Protector! Protector!" The word gave him fire. He roared, slamming another soldier against the wall. His blade cut through the darkness, fierce and unyielding, but even fire can burn out. The last of his ammo clicked empty. He dropped the rifle, blood running from his arm. The tunnel filled with enemy shadows. Too many, far too many. The woman's scream echoed, "No!" Then something unexpected happened. The children, small and fragile, pressed their hands to the tunnel walls. Strange light spread from their fingers, glowing symbols pulsing in the stone. The air vibrated. The soldier froze, stunned. The woman's voice rose above the chaos. "They are not just children. They are our future. They carry the power of my people, the last gift of our world." The walls trembled. A surge of energy burst through the tunnel, knocking enemy soldiers back in shock. Light wrapped around the children, spilling out like fireflies in the dark. The soldier shielded his eyes, his heart thundering. He had never seen anything like it. The children were not weapons, not soldiers, but something far greater, life itself, bound with the power of an ancient race. The enemy faltered, confused, afraid. For the first time, they hesitated. The soldier seized the moment. With a cry, he charged, grabbing a fallen weapon. He fought with renewed strength, his wounds forgotten. The woman's voice guided the children's light, turning fear into courage, weakness into strength. Together they pushed the enemy back. The tunnel shook, dust falling from the ceiling, but the light held strong. One by one, the enemy soldiers fell or fled, their shouts fading into the distance. Silence returned. The soldier stood, chest heaving, body broken but spirit burning. His hands trembled, his vision blurred, but he remained on his feet. He had not fought alone. He had fought for something greater. The children's glow dimmed, leaving only the soft sound of their breathing. They looked at him with wide eyes, whispering again that word that now felt heavier than ever. Protector. The woman came to his side, steadying him as he nearly collapsed. Her touch was gentle, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You chose us," she whispered, "and we chose you." The soldier closed his eyes, memories of his lost family flooding back. For years, he had carried only emptiness. But now, as the children gathered around him, small hands reaching for his, something changed. The emptiness was not gone, but it was no longer all he had. He opened his eyes, looking at the woman. "I don't know how to be family anymore." She smiled faintly. "Then we will teach each other." The soldier let out a shaky breath. For the first time in years, hope touched him. It was fragile, uncertain, but real. Outside, the war still raged, the galaxy still burned. But here, in this tunnel, something new was born. Not victory, not defeat, but a beginning. The soldier looked at the children, at their small faces shining in the dark. He had lost his family once, but now, against all odds, he had found another. He picked up his weapon, not as a soldier of war, but as a protector of life. The woman whispered softly, her words like a promise in the silence. "You are no longer alone." And as they walked deeper into the tunnels, the sound of footsteps faded behind them, replaced by the quiet, steady beat of something stronger than war. Hope. A new beginning.